Welcome back to Shoulder Challenge Month. We have day 2, week 1. Today we're going to be going over the structures of the shoulder girdle, some of which you're going to see of the torso as well, and also common problems that can occur with that. So I'm starting deeper structures, the bony structures first. Now how the nervous system works, if there's any problem with any joint, it's going to cause overlying muscle tightness. Now the body pre-proteins for space, and the amount of space will determine the quality of tissue surrounding it. So, starting deep to more superficial, thus also why we had you going through from yesterday the biggest range of motion possible for not only your glenohumeral joint or your shoulder, but also your shoulder blade. So that will affect the overlying muscles around it. Again, making sure that you're still doing those every single day, at least 5 reps in both directions, each arm for the ball and socket glenohumeral joint and also the shoulder blade. So stay with that. This is going to be a fun little educational video today. Now for the ball and socket joint with humerus, we have the clavicle, and then we have the whole scapula itself. So as we go through this, we're going to start bones. You have a good understanding with that. Now let's add a layer of connective tissue. The first layer of connective tissue is the joint capsule and the synovial membrane. I'll start adding in more layers. We have other ligaments involved, which ligaments go from bone to bone. And in order to address those tissues, ligaments, tendons don't get as much blood flow. In order to get more blood flow for healing purposes, muscle contractions at end range of motion tend to work incredibly well, but it has to be specific to you, yourself. So with front side, we'll start rotating back and around, and I'll add another layer on here. Okay, then we have another fibrous layer overlying the joint capsule, and some ligaments of the AC joint, and then other ones that attach onto the whole shoulder itself. Okay, I'm not going to get into specific names. I just want you guys to have a good understanding, and then some bursas as well. So let me take a layer off. Yes, there's the heart, lovely. And then let's start adding some muscle. So deeper structures first to the shoulder. There we go. Okay, so we have muscle that comes on the front side of the shoulder blade, subscapularis. And that'll involve a lot of internal rotation. Again, I don't want to turn this into an anatomy lesson, but just so you can see deeper layers and structures. But there's a few muscles I want to go into. So the supraspinatus, that's going to involve our main action of lifting the arm to 90 degrees. Now if there's any problems with that, you can do a pin stretch right on top of the arm, putting pressure and moving your arm. That'll also break up some of the little knots, the trigger points. But as you can see, it comes from the edge of the shoulder blade all the way underneath and attaches to the arm. So there could be some impingement, depends on stress, depends on space, and old injuries as well. Okay, and then there's other muscles of the rotator cuff on the back side. Now let's add another layer as well. Layers of the neck, and you'll start seeing some of the scalene muscles then from the neck going attaching to the rib cage. We also have some of the muscles, especially the levator, which goes from the neck to the top angle of the shoulder blade. Okay, so that's involving the neck or structures above, and then there's going to be some structures below as well. Let's add another layer in, and there we have the rhomboids. Thus, when you squeeze your shoulder blades together, that will contract these muscles. And then even the lats, which are the big muscles on the side, especially if you see large bodybuilders, that goes from the arm all the way down to even the lower back. And we're going to address those as well. And let's add a couple other layers. So as you can see, There's many different layers of how the arm functions, not only above the area but also below. Now, I brought up serratus anterior, which goes from the shoulder blade on the inside angle and attaches to the rib cage. Now, as we go through the shoulder workspace, that's a huge muscle that's involved as well. But then we also have other muscles of the coracobrachialis, and then also bicep, tricep. So all these will be involved in the movement. And then we have the deltoids, the pecs overlying it as well. So we have muscles that attach from the rib cage to the shoulder, from the front inside out, top down, back in. So we're addressing all of these structures through different movements, but some muscles, tendons, ligaments may have more stress. They may go through more muscle activation than others, but you still have to stabilize one side of the arm in order to move the other. But there's also going to be a small level of muscle contraction that's going to do this. So that is a few things involved and a few tissues and structures involved. Now, if you have pain when lifting your arm up, there could be some tension underneath, especially the subclavius. So this is pretty much a small muscle that monitors the tension and elevation of your clavicle. It'll also help with the rocking of the clavicle, or collarbone if we will, with the AC joint, and also how it attaches to the sternoclavicular joint as well. And the sternoclavicular joint, that's the only joint that holds your whole upper arm on top of the rib cage. So very, very important. There's a lot of stress for most people, especially if they're at the desk, arms in front of them for a period of time. This becomes incredibly tight. So by moving and putting pressure of your hands, fingertips downwards and looking up in a way, that'll ease up the tension here, which will also help function of the arm. Okay. So two common structures there. There could also be impingement, especially of the acromion on the edge portion. It's like the bone that you feel on the outside of your shoulder. If that rocks forward, or if there's old injuries either getting checked into the boards with hockey or falling, that can lead to the bones diminishing the space, which if you have pain lifting your arm, especially sharp pinching, that can affect the bursas underneath. That's another common instance for most people as well. So let's also take a look from top down. So let me rotate this here. So you can see there's a bunch of other small muscles involved. Let's take a few of these layers away. Okay. So as we look at this, ligaments, tendons, more so ligaments, are going to be the deeper structure. So that is where, for the healing purposes to occur, we want to make sure that we're moving through the biggest range of motion, pain-free possible. But if there's sharp pain, oftentimes there's either impingement of certain structures, whether it's on the outside, whether that's on the front side as well. So as you go through, you don't want to move into the areas that are pinching. So right, like say I have pinching with my arm coming inwards. I want to diminish the angle and then put a muscle contraction lightly and slowly build up in sessions of the intensity pushing in that direction, and then add rotational movement along that area as well. Over time, that'll help with the pinching. For most people, it depends on arthritis, it depends on joint space. So if it doesn't improve, you might want to go in for imaging, you might not want to go see a physician, look into it a little bit more. But those are the areas involved. There's a lot of problems that can occur. The shoulder joint is a very complex structure, even for physicians itself. So those are the structures. Those are some common problems. Again, reminder, making sure you move through the biggest pain-free range of motion. If you have sharp pain, diminish the angle and then go around and continue. Same thing both directions. So again, workspaces, moving the arms, and that is today's lesson, today's challenge. Keep on moving, and you're going to keep learning more as we go through. So can't wait to see you guys in the next one. And tomorrow, woo, have a great day.